Okay, I will call this meeting of the Madison Elementary School Board to order. Ms. Humphries, can I have the roll, please?
President Gresham.
Here.
Vice President Thompson.
Present.
Member Causey. Member Spear.
Here. Here.
Member Holcomb.
Here.
One more time.
Oh, Member Causey, you
Here.
walked right by. You didn't even see her. All are present.
Thank you. And do we have any changes, or can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved.
I will second.
Moved by Ms. Thompson, seconded by Ms. Spear.
I'm voting aye on that. I would probably not sign in time.
Thank you. We can vote slowly. And the motion passes. Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Merrill, as a welcome to you, would you like to lead us in the pledge, please?
Oh, I can do that, yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I will just real quick welcome Mr. Merrill as our principal representative this school year. So thank you for your service. Do not believe we have any call for executive session. Anybody? Nope. I will do our superintendent's report. Dr. Guerin, are you there?
I am. Good evening, everyone. I want to apologize for not being there in person. I'm a bit under the weather and do not want to spread germs. But welcome to the 24-25 school year. Our first day of school is August 6th. A special welcome to our new students and new staff members. The district office and schools have been working hard to prepare for the new year. I want to give a special welcome to Principal Merrill, who will be joining us on cabinet and at our governing board meetings this year. I am also excited to share that we have launched a new website. Thanks to the communications team for their hard work on this. Please be sure to check it out. This year, we are welcoming 45 new teachers to Madison, some with years of experience and some brand new to teaching. In addition, we hired 11 other certificated positions, such as school psychologists and occupational therapists. We are still hiring. We are still in need of paraprofessionals, bus drivers, MAT club leaders, and a few other positions. Please check our website for open positions. Our staff welcome back breakfast is scheduled for August 1st at the Madison Center for the Arts. I cannot wait to celebrate the new year with all of our amazing staff members. New and returning students will complete the online check-in process starting today and running through July 25th. During check-in days, families are asked to review and confirm student and emergency information, contact information, and updated permissions. It is critical that we have this updated information for our families. Please check the Family Resource section of the new Madison website for more information. In addition, you will receive site-specific messages from the schools. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you on the first day of school.
Thank you. We will move on to board member reports. I think I'll start over with Ms. Spear.
I have nothing to report. Thank you, Mr. Merrill, for joining us at the days for the next school year. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Causey.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Merrill. So good to see you. Just really quickly, just an update to my fellow board members. The ASBA Governance Committee is busily working on updating our bylaws to protect the organization from future bad decision making, basically, as well as doing a real deep dive on our policy document as well. We'll be really enhancing that and providing, I think, so much more specific guidance on how decisions are made and who can make them. There'll be a lot more, I think, engagement and opportunities for members to raise concerns to the board when they have them as well. And so that's something that we will be probably presenting to the membership this fall. But I just wanted to give you the heads up on that. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Real quick question, and thank you for serving on that board. Any updates on the hiring process?
Yes, we have a final interview with our top 3 candidates on August 3rd. And so shortly thereafter, we'll make a decision at that meeting. We'll be announcing who the new executive director is.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thanks.
Mr. Holcomb.
Yes, thank you. I'm very much looking forward to welcoming everybody back. The welcome back celebration that we have with all the staff is always a great amount of fun. I understand we're busily collecting gifts and that to share with the staff from our community. That's always a great thing. If anybody in the community would like to help, we have a tradition that's been actually predates me being on the board. Nancy Allen started it. Yeah. Of giving out to the community and have the community show their appreciation by giving gifts that we raffle off to the staff, and it's just a great fun, and it helps start the year off with that feeling of we're all part of the community and that celebration. And I did want to report I got a chance to go to Cleveland. I've never gone to Cleveland before. If anybody's not been to Cleveland, if you watch the next Superman movie, you will see Cleveland because they were filming it while we were there, and it was a lot of fun. And I found out why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland. I did something I've never done before. I went to the international competition for barbershop and the choruses. It was a phenomenal experience, and we had choruses from all over the world. I got to hear the national anthems from Germany, Denmark, New Zealand, England as well, because they would do that if there were any groups performing there, and it was for me a phenomenal experience. Any event, and I'm looking forward to welcoming all the students in that back this year. It's going to be an exciting year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holcomb. I'm coming up with an idea for an after-school barbershop quartet program that you could lead.
There is actually a thing called the Harmony Foundation, which does exactly those types of things. Usually more in high school, but I'm trying to make an inroad for that. And in fact, next May, the competition for Arizona, for all the barbershops in Arizona, will be at the Madison. A little arm twisting, and that occurred.
There you go. We can do a middle school version.
Yeah.
Thank you. And by gifts for the teachers, we give away gift cards, like restaurants, hair salons, spas, all those kind of things. So if anybody knows anyone, let us know, or even better, send it over to Ms. Humphreys. And lastly, but not least, Vice President Thompson.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Merrill. We're glad to have you here with us. I'd also like to give a shout out to all the administrators who've been assisting parents today with the online registration. I know for me it went very smoothly, no problem. So thanks for all the tech support behind the scenes and for all the administrators who are helping walk parents through that. I know my kids are getting excited to start their middle school experience here in a few weeks, and looking forward to welcoming back not only all of our staff but our students. That's all I have.
Thank you. I don't think I have much. Hard to believe we're already gearing up for back to school already. This is it's wild. And welcome back, everyone. And we still have like 3 months of summer left, so weather-wise anyway. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any changes to the consent agenda, or do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Causey, seconded by Ms. Thompson. Please vote. And that's unanimous. And we'll move on to call to public. Ms. Humphreys, do we have any calls to the public?
We have no calls to public.
Thank you so much. And I will move on to item 6.1. Dr. Guerin, do you want to introduce this or just hand it over to Ms. Garvey?
Sure, I'll introduce it. Thank you, President Gresham. Deputy Superintendent Garvey will explain an update on a lawsuit impacting all the schools and community colleges in Maricopa County. So thank you, Ms. Garvey.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Guerin, and Cabinet. I'm happy to give you an update today on the Quasi-Meyer versus Maricopa County lawsuit, which you probably have heard about in the news since it impacts the taxes to be paid in Maricopa County. So what happened in this lawsuit is that it was a class action lawsuit that Quasi-Meyer brought against Maricopa County, alleging that taxes were miscalculated due to changes in tax classifications of property, mainly rental residential, but there were other classifications. And through this process, they were alleging that they had been overcharged for their taxes. And after it went and there was a judgment summary and then it was appealed, the court did rule in favor of Quasi-Meyer that this did occur. So now, as Dr. Guerin mentioned, school districts and community college systems have to pay this money back to the taxpayers. So there was a lot of conversation for a couple months about how is this going to happen and what remedies could there be. And so the legislature did say that it would be levied for in this. So when we say levied, it would be included in the tax rate for taxpayers for this upcoming year. Instead of, there was conversation originally about stretching it out. Some districts were heavily impacted, stretching it out over a certain number of years or not. What can we do? And so we have been given 3 different options for how you would like to do this. So the first one is, if you have excess cash, you can just use your district's excess cash and pay the amount back this year. Another option is to issue TANs, which are tax appreciation notes, which is like short-term borrowing for up to 4 years. Of course, this would also cost the taxpayers money because there's interest on that would have to be paid back. And then the next one is to levy for it in this year. So looking at those options, TANs seem not to be the road to go because it would end up costing more. If we were to use excess cash, that becomes, as we've talked about in here before, when you don't have cash, it becomes tricky for a variety of reasons. One is it can change your bond rating, which will end up costing the taxpayers more. The way that we receive our revenues, it might require us we may not have enough cash then, which would then require us to register warrants with the county, which comes with a tax associated to that too, which costs the taxpayers. So in looking at it, I can tell you the numbers have been revised since February. Originally, we thought it was going to be around the money that we owed back would be around $2.2 million, but then because the amount that we received, the way the funding formula works is that the taxes that we raise from our community, our taxpayers, does affect the amount that we receive in state aid. So everybody pays a universal amount of taxes, and then anything in your budget above that amount gets paid for by state aid. So now that we would have been collecting less in property taxes, we would have received more state aid. So we just received a notice from the county treasurer's office this week that ADE is still calculating, or they're still calculating, I should say, the amount of the state aid that we would get back based on the new amounts that are estimated to be paid out by the district. So we don't have an exact amount, but our liability has gone from 2.1 million to 1.895, so almost 1.9, but down a couple $100,000. I am estimating that we will receive about $800,000, $900,000 back in state aid. So our net liability that we would be putting on the tax rate is approximately $1 million. And I can tell you that our tax rate was set to go down almost 7.5 cents, and $1 million tax on this Quasi-Meyer judgment is actually just a little over 7.5 cents. So in essence, our tax rate would remain constant from what it is this year. And I would recommend, and I do recommend, that is the way that we approach this for this year. And then our tax rate should drop a little bit next year.
Thank you, Ms. Garvey, for that explanation and for your work on this. As I understand it, school districts had no warning about this at all. So it was a surprise for all of us in case people are thinking, well, why didn't they just say? And we all, of course, do not have piles of cash just laying around. Do we have any, and again, also this is an information item, so we are not voting on anything tonight, but any questions or comments for Ms. Garvey?
I do.
Mr. Thompson? Mr. Holt?
Thank you. Just a quick, your recommendation, and we're not taking any action tonight, but what's the plan for them bringing this back to the board, or what action does the board need to take?
The board actually, believe it or not, doesn't need to take an action on it. The Maricopa County is just going to go ahead and set the tax rate. They set the tax rate. They set it with input from us. So I could say to them, we're going to issue TANs for 4 years and repay it, but then they have to figure in an amount for that. So, or if we want to offset with cash, I can tell them offset it with cash. But that would really take a hit. That's $1 million is
Right. No, so even though this is an informational item and we're not taking any action, unless we did some action to direct you to put money in or to do it over time, the tax rate that you just talked about, or the maintaining the tax rate, is what is going to happen.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Any other questions or comments? And we are very lucky that our liability was much lower than in some of the other districts, including the community colleges. It's quite high. In addition to, there's rural fire districts and other public services that are being affected as well. All right. Thank you so much. Sorry, Ms. Spear.
Thank you, Madam President. Is there any merit to us taking action to put on the record that we are making this choice in light of the fact that there are such varied experiences across the state? Is there any merit to doing so, so that this is in fact a board decision? My objective here is that it's not a default decision, and that it is something that rests with the board, and also to, for the most part, go on the record that we had to choose to levy $1 million, which, like Ms. Garvey explained, could have been a much more impactful amount. That this is something that we had to do as a result of a miscalculation done at the state level.
Board Member Spear, we can definitely consult with our attorney and look at drafting an action item after we get the information from ADE and know what the exact amount is. So Ms. Garvey and I can work on that.
Thank you. I'm not trying to belabor a point. Well, I guess I am. I am trying to belabor a point.
If I may, I think if, as far as making the record, that's what we're doing now. And doing is because by taking no action, we're allowing this tax increase, or maintaining the tax. We're not taking action to do that. This is happening out of the natural. And I think we've made it very clear on the record. I think I have no objection if you want to bring back.
You make a good point. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we've made the record very clear that it wasn't us. And
unprecedented.
Ms. Thompson?
Well, to belabor the point and to make it even more clear, there was an error at the county level, which has impacted every single taxing district in the state, and we are being are having to charge our taxpayers to fix the mistake of someone else who had nothing to do with this school district. It's only in Maricopa County that this is being impacted, as others have stated. School districts are in a little bit of a different boat because we have a balance of state aid and those taxpayer dollars, but there are other taxing districts that don't have that, that are going to have services impacted, who don't have other sources of revenue or will have to turn to tuition and those type of things. This is very very troubling. There should have been some other resolution other than just, the state saying, go ahead and tax people for it. I hope that there are provisions put into place at the county level to ensure that there's continuity across the state. The fact that only one county had this issue says that there should have been some conversations more broadly, and it's concerning we're having to do this. But in my mind, this isn't us setting the tax. This is the state determining how to address a lawsuit, and it's a little bit out of our hands. But either way, if we need to take, I'm happy to take an action and make that more clear as well.
You and Mr. Holcomb make fair points. I'm just, as the last few months of my final year, to have to levy $1 million as a result of a mistake made in some agency, of which I haven't been paying very close attention, mostly because I'm so disgusted. I find it to be negligent on their part, and I'm angry.
Okay, one more.
One more. I apologize.
Vote and say I'm
Yeah,
angry.
that horse needs a little bit more, but and actually, this money would have to be paid through some type of tax levy at some level, and I think Ms. Garvey did a very good job of explaining it's going to happen. The taxpayers are going to have to pay it, not because of anything we've done, but because of a mistake made that's impacted us. And I think Ms. Garvey has given us wise advice. This would be the least impactful and the least expensive way to deal with the problem that somebody else created. And I think, we're very happy, it's been great that we have people like Lori, Ms. Garvey, to make sure that help us through this and make it as least amount of impact on our taxpayers.
I agree. And there was a lawsuit, so whether there was a mistake or someone just didn't want to pay as much taxes is my question. But Dr. Guerin, maybe we...
I'll simmer down.
Yeah.
I'll simmer down.
Well, I was wondering, it was kind of quiet at first. I'm like, this is weird. But Dr. Guerin, maybe we just, if anything, we can maybe just give Ms. Garvey and then say, let her use her discretion or something like that. So.
Absolutely. We'll explore our options, and we can certainly bring it back as an information item if we want to update the board publicly as well. So we will get back with you on this.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on. 7.1, Madison Rose Lane rebuild. Dr. Guerin?
On some better news, I'm so excited to once again turn it over to Deputy Superintendent because we are going to rebuild Madison Rose Lane. Ms. Garvey.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Guerin, and Cabinet. As Dr. Guerin said, this is definitely a very an uplifting agenda item. So as we all know, Madison Rose Lane is the next school to be rebuilt in Madison School District. And to start that process, we put out an RFQ for architectural services. And we went through quite a process. We received 8 proposals back. We invited 3 different firms to come in and give presentations, and Orcutt Winslow just really rose to the top and did a beautiful job in their proposal and their presentation. So we had a committee of 5 members who will be very involved with the project, evaluate the proposals and the interviews, and the contract that is attached. I did just want to let you know, legal's in the process of reviewing it. We do use a standard contract template that we require the architect firm to agree to, and Orcutt has done that. But as it's in its final review, there might be a minor modification. So also asking for permission that the authority be delegated to myself to approve those minor modifications to a contract. But we do have Visby and Bibby from Orcutt Winslow here tonight if anybody had any questions for them. Really exciting. I don't know if Bibby looks familiar to you, but she's a parent at Madison Simus and maybe Madison Meadows. So really just very excited, and Orcutt has been a good partner, and we're looking forward to partnering with them on this project.
Thank you, Ms. Garvey. And of course, You have a lot of experience doing this, so it's very exciting to. And thank you to our taxpayers for allowing us to have these welcoming and safe places for our students to learn. Any questions or comments for Ms. Garvey?
If I may, I heard somewhat about the selection process, and you tell a request for qualifications is a process where you don't go for the lowest price, but you explained that, and I heard some things specific that I thought would be helpful in relation to why we picked Orcott.
Sure.
You said they rose to the top, and why?
Yes, certainly. So when you do a request for qualification, actually the amount that you pay isn't even in there. It's more about the ability to perform two criteria that we set out. So we have criteria on the qualifications of the personnel associated. How would you approach the project? How would the scope look, including, timeline, and there's a section for references. So first, every proposal that came back, well, they're always varying in length, but they address all the topics that you ask, and it takes a lot of work, and they're usually pretty thick. And so we go through and evaluate those proposals, and a lot of it is based on how would you approach the project, what is the scope, and the experience of the team that you're bringing forward. And so those were evaluated, and again, the three firms rose to the top. Then they come in and they do an evaluation. They do an interview, and again, we have 5 criteria that we look at, very closely aligned to that. You can present in any format that you desire, and so I would say that Orcutt did a really, really good job of going deep into how they would address each one of those areas. And they came with their entire team that would be there. It's certainly more than Visby and Bibby, but an architect, interior designer, another partner even with Orcutt, who's very involved in the education side and understanding, even went back to get teaching certification, understand how buildings get used by teachers to help on this committee. So it just was, in their presentation became evident that they knew what they were doing, what they were talking about, came up with how they would address, because it was very important for us. This is a performing and visual arts school. We want it to be seen, like as soon as you walk on that campus, we want people to know it. And so really talked about how they would address that, how they would involve the community in coming up with the vignettes, and how they would approach the whole project from start of the design all the way through the construction period. And they did a beautiful job of really addressing each one of those areas and how they would approach it. And it became evident too, which really wasn't a surprise, but they're want to really truly partner with us to come up with what we want, not what they want. And so it just was a very, very nice presentation.
Thank you. Good question, Ms. Kazi.
Thank you. Ms. Garvey, I have a really quick question on the budget of $68 million. Can you give me kind of some guidance on how expansive the soft costs are, obviously, including the construction costs in that budget, and if that budget includes any ancillary plans we have for that campus or just specifically for the Rose Lane School?
The budget is specifically for Rose Lane, but including early childhood and maybe some, not a building, but looking at future expansion. We do try to build in the infrastructure when we're doing construction, if we think that there might be some kind of expansion in the future. Of that $68 million, I'd probably have to rely on Mr. Calvin to tell me how much is soft cost in there. $7 million? $7 million of soft cost. So, yes, schools have greatly increased in price. So, but we are really looking for, I'm so excited for the possibilities for Madison Rose Lane, and I'm excited to do it with Orcutt.
Great. Anyone else? Thank you. And since this is an action item, can I have a motion?
I move to approve the contract and provide the and allow minor contract modifications to be approved by the deputy superintendent.
Second.
Okay, it was moved by Mr. Holcomb, seconded by Ms. Thompson. And that's unanimous. Congratulations. And we'll go to 8.1. Dr. Guerin?
Thank you, President Gresham. For our future meetings, our next meeting is actually going to be on the first day of school, which is rapidly approaching on August 6th. We will be providing an enrollment update at that meeting as an information item. In addition, we're going to be talking about the Parent Square contract. As you know, in addition to the launch of the new website, we are working to enhance and provide consistency with parent-school communication through a program and tool called Parent Square, and several of our schools will be involved in a pilot program of this. So Ms. Gulen will be presenting that at our next board meeting. And then on August 20th, we'll have more items to come, but in Ms. Marshall's department, we're going to be presenting the parent survey results, which we completed last spring.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Guerin. Any comments, questions on future meetings? Okay, seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Thompson, second by Ms. Causey. And we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
35 minutes.
Feel better, Dr. Guerin.
Bye, Dr. Guerin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel better.
Thanks.